two, one.
Howdy, y'all. Here we are.
Sorry about
How you doing?
Oh, sorry if that theme music was too loud. I was like, holy shit, I didn't turn the volume down on that. My
I
bad.
was going to say, that's a really tight intro. I really like that music.
I got a friend over here that works at Guitar Center that did that for me.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool.
I'm an aspiring at-home guitarist that cannot play that well, so I had to get him to do it for me. I just pick and play around.
Very cool.
We are ready for what? Third channel again. You're back. Was this your second time with me? Well, it's your first time having a video with me. The last time was audio, and I do apologize. I hadn't quite gotten my video chops under me yet.
Oh, no worries.
And then we've got Brandon Hayes and Wendy. What's your last name, Wendy?
Segal, but on the movie it was a Wessberg was the name. But Wendy Segal is my name.
And you were in the original Halloween 3, correct?
I was, yes. Yes, I was. Fun time. Long time ago. Fun.
The underappreciated classic, I say. The one, to me, that movie was more of a Halloween movie than the Michael Myers. But that's my personal opinion.
It's kind of funny because back in the day when you'd go to Blockbuster, there'd be 1, 2, 4, and 5 always. 3 was never there. So what can I say? My kids love that I'm in it, though. They love it, so it worked for my family.
But to me, it's true because it centers around the holiday, and it brings the holiday into the plot of the whole story. Where the Michael Myers, it's Halloween, it's there, but it's not the, what is the word I'm looking for? The plot device that everything's built around.
Let's see. Yeah.
And so it feels more of a Halloween movie to me.
I guess.
Right. It is. It definitely is. Because it takes place. They talk about Halloween. It's about like the lore of Halloween, if you will.
Mm-hmm. But I guess it got panned by critics and the studio. Well, I don't know. The studio didn't really.
I don't know.
You would probably know more than me, Wendy. You and Michelle.
Really. My part came in. They shot the whole movie. They screened the movie with themselves and decided they're going to cut 2 parts out, and they needed another murder. So Deborah Hill was a friend of mine. She produced the movie, and so I was called back in to just shoot those scenes. They just added the 5 or 6 scenes, whatever it was, and the murder after the movie was already finished. So they added those in, subtracted some out, and so I was really sort of in it afterwards. So I wasn't a part of all that other part, But
so you came in during basically like reshoots?
Sort of like almost post.
Oh, okay.
They put it together already and decided, I guess there was a bigger part with the wife. Tom Atkins' wife in the movie had a larger part, so they cut her out, I understand, and added another murder, which was
Nancy Loomis, I believe, or Nancy Kyles now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was told at the time was happening, and so I got lucky. They called me. It was, it was a great experience for me. It was fun.
The irony for this movie is that it's a Halloween movie, and Halloween, and I always say this to people, originates in Ireland, and this never got an Irish screening that I remember of.
Oh, really? Huh.
Wow.
So I've no problem in saying this. I'm 42 years of age, so I would have remembered movies being shown in the cinema, we call them theaters in America. And my first introduction to this would have been one Halloween night on television. And Halloweens in Ireland were very, very special to us. What we would do is months beforehand, we would go out there and collect all kinds of stuff for bonfires. So we would collect old pallets, tires, old sofas, you name it, create a huge bonfire,
Oh
burn
wow.
burn the bonfire, and when the bonfire would go down to smoldering ashes, we would then go inside and watch whatever movie would be shown on Halloween night, because that was probably the only time you would get to see a horror movie on the two channels that we had in Ireland at a kind of a reasonable hour, maybe 10:30, because most of the other horror movies were shown maybe after midnight. And I had seen the Michael Myers ones beforehand, and all of a sudden Halloween 3 comes on. And myself and my sister and my friends are watching this movie, and we're saying, when's Michael Myers going to come in? And but on the same token, our confusion led to intrigue, and we absolutely loved it. We really genuinely loved it. We didn't hate on it at all, and we had no Wikipedia or Google or anything to explain to us that this is what it was, that it was Carpenter's idea of making it into an anthology series. We knew nothing of that. We were totally ignorant to it, but we still bought into it. And then later on, what had happened was VCRs were introduced, and we had a van that used to come around with videos in the back of it, and we would rent the videos out of the van until eventually we got a shop that rented videos. So that's when we then started seeing things like George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, you name it. But that was my first introduction to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And to this day, I absolutely love it. And, everything is great about it. And I don't care what anyone says. Daniel Hurley, and I know I'm biased in saying this, he's fantastic in it. He's the ultimate bad guy. I cannot understand how that man was never cast in some kind of Bond film throughout the years as a bad guy. He's just he's perfect.
I
Really.
could see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
He's
I
really
know
good.
I know the guy that wrote the James Bond encyclopedia, so we can get on with him someday, Brandon, and ask him, because he knows all the ins and outs to that.
Ironically, though, in saying that, his son was a Bond villain in a kind of an unofficial Bond movie called Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery. So he died actually recently, Daniel Hurley, his son. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so that's a bit of trivia for you. But yeah, Daniel Hurley was great. His rich baritone voice came across very well. He just sounded like that. It wasn't pantomime bad guy. It was just very sinister, very cruel, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And he had this theater experience because in the Abbey Theatre in Dublin, he had been involved in over 50 different productions.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm not talking, 50 plays, like 50 different screenings or 50 different showings. I'm talking about 50 different productions of 50 separate plays. So he had a really rich history in the theatre, and then he went to Hollywood, and I suppose to this day he's remembered for RoboCop and Halloween 3. Yeah, they are his two big roles that he's really remembered for.
Wow.
RoboCop's like one of my top 5 favorite films. So
and he's brilliant. He's brilliant in it, and he only has a small role. Yeah,
That's really amazing. That's amazing that he was in all those, because I know theater companies will run a play like several times. So, I mean, it's not just 50 consecutive plays. I mean, he was there for the entirety of each night that they that they went live. I mean, that's amazing. That's a very long career in theater, I think.
There are friends of mine who do theater locally, and they
Mhm.
do it for nothing, and they travel the length and breadth of the country, and they have full-time jobs, and
Mhm.
the dedication that goes into their theater work is incredible. I couldn't do it because of my busy lifestyle,
Mhm.
but what they do is just outstanding, you know. So theater work is not easy. It really isn't. So
Awesome. Yeah, yeah.
hats
I can
off to anybody
imagine.
who does it. Yeah, it's so much easier to be in front of a camera, and you can kind of say, "Sorry, I screwed that up. Can we do that again?" You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Scotty Parkin, who Michelle and me both noted, played Leatherface in Steve Merlot's Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film.
Mhm.
He's from theater, and just hearing him talk about how physical those roles could be, like people were actually punching and kicking each other up on stage. Like I think he did like a medieval knight, kind of like a Shakespearean type play,
Oh wow.
and he literally like caught the hilt of a sword in the face or something that he was telling me one time. So it gets pretty rough up there on that stage.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like Brandon said, you don't get reshoots or retakes. You gotta
No.
nail it right on the first go.
And I went to see a play about 2 weeks ago that a friend of mine was in, and he had to drink 5 pints of Guinness. Uh,
Jeez.
it's a one act play, but it wasn't real Guinness. He said it was Coke with
Oh, good.
with kind of with cream on the top of it. But he still had to drink 5 of those, and the play is about an hour and a half, and he gets one opportunity in the play where his character goes off stage where he can go to the bathroom. So, but it's full on all the time, one act play, and it's all set in a pub, and it was so good that it actually made me want to go into a crummy, dirty looking pub afterwards and have a pint. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh gosh.
It had that kind of an effect on me, you know. So I do love theatre, I really do. But having to work in theatre, no, I've done a few radio plays, I have, and they're great fun because
Mhm.
again, you know, you can cut at any point you want. But something live like this, no. Anything can go
Mhm.
wrong live, as you know. Anything can go wrong. Something's gone
Oh
wrong now.
yeah.
Wendy's gone missing.
Yeah,
Something's gone wrong with her camera.
she's still on, but her camera's off.
Yeah.
We lose you, Wendy.
Yeah, yeah. She'll come back.
Oh
Yeah.
Brandon,
yeah.
have you ever been to Savannah, Georgia, here in the States?
I have only ever been to New York twice. So when I go to California on the 11th, I'll be flying 11 hours direct from Dublin into San Francisco, and then I'll be driving up north to Eureka. That would be my first time in any other state in America. Mm.
You
So,
would love Savannah, Georgia. When I got stationed there,
mm.
it was like I literally took a flight and went to a port town in Ireland because there were just Irish pubs everywhere. And then come to find out that Irish immigrants basically built Savannah, so Irish
Yeah.
Oh
heritage
wow. That's
strong there.
really interesting.
And you go into these pubs, and it's like this one guy comes in like every once a month, twice a month. Name was Frank. He would sit up on stage and just drink scotch and just play old Irish folk songs. And they had a fireplace in there, and you could get food and whatever else you wanted. It was like damn, this is like authentic. This ain't just some crummy bar. This is, where you can come at and just socialize with everybody and just have a good time and listen to good music. And
Mhm. Mhm.
That is great to hear because there's a few Irish themed bars in different countries. And I remember being in London one time, and myself and my cousin went into an Irish bar. And there's a sport in Ireland called hurling. Have you ever heard of hurling?
a little bit, but I don't understand the sport. I've never really actually seen it, only heard it by name.
it's a bit like hockey, right? So I'm not into sports, to be honest, right? So we go into the bar anyway, and my cousin says to the barman, he says, "What time is the hurling on?" And the barman says, "What's hurling?"
Oh wow.
And it,
Well, and hurling is an Irish sport. So we just looked at each other and went, let's just get out of here, you know? So it's nice to see pubs that really go the whole hog and um, do the whole genuine Irish thing and then bring in Irish people and, not to do things that are hugely stereotypical because we find it a bit. I wouldn't say offensive. I'm not going to be a snowflake. We don't find it offensive. We find it boring, if anything. Yeah.
no, because it does kind of take, which that's my culture too, from my grandmother's side, and kind of makes a meme out of it to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're not just leprechauns, out guarding a pot of gold. We're
No.
people with traditions and a heritage, and it's not, it just feels like it gets sold up the river for whatever. To me, that's just to me. But like Halloween and Irish tradition is which, correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but that's a very serious holiday that was practiced way back in the day because they thought that they had to ward off evil spirits to have good harvest and different things like that. And
Yeah.
now it's to pass out candy to children. So,
And the whole idea of dressing up the way people would dress up in costumes on Halloween night was because in hundreds of years ago people would disguise themselves because they believed that dead spirits would come back on Halloween night. So Halloween is called Iha Hauna. So Iha is Irish for night, and Hauna is Samhain. So it's the night of Samhain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you break into November 1st, which is Samhain. So it's between October 31st and November 1st is this ideology where the dead can resurface for a period of time. And people would have believed that the dead would come back for a period of time. And if the dead had something against you, then they would seek revenge. But if they came back and you shaved off your beard and put on a pair of glasses and, disguised yourself in some way, they'd say, "Oh, that's not John, that's someone else." So that was the idea of disguising, So there's loads of different lore about Halloween, but the one thing
That's
about
exactly
Halloween,
why I love it so much. There's so much.
yeah, the one thing about Halloween 3 that I was a bit disappointed with was the idea of them bringing Stonehenge into it because that's in England.
yeah, I was like, how does
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, look, we'll forgive him for that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
at least it wasn't the Stonehenge from Spinal Tap, thank God.
Oh god.
That's Stonehenge from Spinal Tap.
Right. Oh gosh.
Have you ever
Deborah-
seen that movie, Michelle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that damn movie. They're sitting there playing and they're like, where's the Stonehenge? And it's like that big on the stage. It's all we could afford, bruh.
Deborah Hill had some great foresight, though, in her casting abilities to bring on someone like Dan O'Hurley. Yeah, because he was perfect. And it's a shame that he allegedly didn't particularly like the movie. And, if that's true, then so be it.
I've always said that this was Deborah Hill's masterpiece. I know John Carpenter gets credit for it, but to me, John Carpenter was just a name in the credits. Deborah Hill busted her ass on this film.
Yeah.
She was the glue that held it together. And when you really go back and look at Halloween as a whole, even the original, she was the glue that held that one together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Lots of different ideas, and the whole concept that she had with witchcraft and the 21st witchcraft in the computer age, which was what she said it was. So yeah, there's so many things that she did in that is just really amazing. Definitely, I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and she doesn't get the credit she deserves, I don't feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, and nothing against John Carpenter. He's one of my favorite directors of all time.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like he doesn't mean to, but I feel like his shadow just overtakes what she did. And it's not his fault, but I think so much of what he's done, you could attribute that success to her if you really dug into it and looked at it. All that success that he had was because of her and different people that worked with him. He didn't do it alone.
Right. That's very true.
I mean, when you look at the opening shots of Halloween, that's Deborah Hill walking with the little hands and everything, grabbing the knife and everything like that. She's the one that come up with that point of view shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really thinking outside the box. I don't think anybody had ever done a point of view shot like that before.
Right.
And wasn't she just credited as a script supervisor for the first Halloween film?
I think so.
Yeah.
And she was the one that basically came up with that idea of putting the mask over the camera lens to give it the look of you're seeing everything through Michael's eyes.
Mm-hmm. And using her hands too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real shame that she's no longer with us, and she passed at an incredibly young age.
Mm-hmm.
Was it cancer that got her?
I think so. Yeah. And Carpenter is somebody who has made some brilliant films. I mean, The Thing is incredible. Escape from New York is a great film. Halloween is brilliant. And then you've got films like Ghosts from Mars. And
I watched that the other night again.
I will say this. One of my guilty pleasure John Carpenter films that a lot of people don't like is the James Woods Vampires.
I love that one too.
I love that movie, but many people hate it.
I actually, John, I watched that only a few weeks ago, and I enjoyed it to a point.
Yeah, it's not his best work, but I still thought it was great. It's like
one of those movies where you're sitting down and the phone is nearby, right? And your left hand is just ready to pick it up at any moment and just check to see if you've got any messages,
Yeah, that's one of those. I get it. But
it's one of those, it doesn't captivate you completely. So it didn't. But like Escape from New York is so good. And then Escape from LA is just...
Oh, yeah.
I think Carpenter lost some mojo along the way, and I think a lot of it was he seemed to like making music more than he liked making movies.
And he's a great musician.
Yeah, I would love to go see him in concert while he's still with us.
Yeah.
And I love music. I mean, I do another podcast with my father where we talk to musicians and stuff. I grew up around it my whole life, and him on a synthesizer is just amazing. And
but music from Escape from New York alone, is brilliant. The Halloween theme music is iconic. It's practically Beethoven or Bach. It is. It will be remembered in hundreds of years' time, no doubt.
How many piano players do you know that's normally their first go-to when they go to learn to play piano is to learn how to play that Michael Myers theme? Because
that and chopsticks.
Yeah, because they're not terribly difficult to play. It's just the timing of it, the metronome for those music nerds. But it's just one of them songs. I remember my kid when he got a little keyboard one year for Christmas from my dad, and that was like the first thing he was trying to learn how to play was. Maybe that was my fault because he grew up with a horror movie nerd as his father, but still.
I used to play it on the piano one hand though. I couldn't play with the two hands, yeah. But I just picked it up easy enough. I wouldn't say I play the piano, but yeah, I can do it all right. And the Mission Impossible theme.
I have two acoustic guitars and an electric guitar, and that's really the only thing I know how to play, and I don't even play them great. I
What
mean,
type of music do you play?
I like playing old classic rock and old country and folk music.
Oh, okay.
I
Very
just
cool.
I just learned how to play this weekend. Steve Miller Band's "The Joker." Do you remember that song?
Yeah,
Sounds familiar.
do.
Um, that one, and I'm always trying to learn because that's one of my favorite bands, Black Sabbath. I'm always trying to copy Tony Iommi, which that'll never happen. But
One of my favorite songs is War Pigs.
yeah,
I love War Pigs. I just
I
that
learned
the
I learned how
intro
to
to War Pig is brilliant.
I learned how to play that on bass, and
Yeah,
that's not easy because Geezer Butler's a freaking genius. But
yeah. It,
can't get it on guitar, no matter how hard I try.
it is just such a banging tune. I know to look at me now with my waistcoat and my tie and my little hat and my glasses, you wouldn't think he listens to Black Sabbath, but I do, you know. And War Pigs is just love it. Yeah.
That one and I tell you another fun song for me to play is "National Acrobat" by Black
National.
Sabbath.
I don't know that one now, to be fair. Like, I'm not, I'm one of these people who gets introduced to songs, and if I like them, I like them, you know. So I'm going to listen to
Mm.
that one now, you know. But I would have a very eclectic taste in music. My Spotify is full of classical music, pop, rock, you name it, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I
And
listen to Bach and Mozart and stuff like
yeah,
that all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Especially if
So
I'm reading books. I write writing. I've written scripts for comic books and stuff, and every time I write, I have to listen to um, just old folk music or old classical music and stuff like that. Like while I was writing my last comic script that I wrote, I was listening to old Viking folk music, and I was listening to old Irish folk music. And because of
so
the scenes and the moods that I was trying to set,
when you say all Irish folk music, what kind of stuff?
mostly like the old
I- Instrumental stuff or stuff with
yeah, like
lyrics?
the old God, some of the what are some of those instruments called from back in like medieval times,
Right.
like the fife and not fife, but that big old guitar. I forget the name of it. It wasn't called a guitar. It was called something else. Like bard
Right.
music, like you would hear back in the day in the pubs and
Right.
stuff when you'd have a
Right.
bard in there singing different things. But
It's not a harp.
no, I
No.
like harp music, but
That the harp is our national emblem, by the way. Then. Yeah.
Right. Right.
but
I'll have to send you on some classic Irish folk songs to see whether you enjoy them or not. Yeah.
I like Irish punk music too. Like oh God, so many of them.
Have you ever heard of the Pogues?
Yep,
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
got
Right.
Dropkick Murphys, which of course they're in Boston.
Yeah.
What's the other band?
Cranberries.
The Cranberries.
U2. I tell you who one of my favorite bands is, Brandon, and you're going to know who this is. Thin Lizzy. I love Thin Lizzy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's amazing because Phil Lynott, who again is sadly no longer with us, he grew up in Ireland in a black mixed race child, you know, in a time where there would have been no black people in Ireland.
oh,
So
Oh gosh.
he would have faced an awful, like when I was growing up in the 80s, you would have seen no black people.
and now
I would have,
you
I
go into
would come,
Dublin, and there's a giant statue of Phil Lynott. down
Yeah.
in Dublin.
So, I mean, that man would have faced incredible prejudice growing up, and yet he went on to become an international superstar with The Boys Are Back in Town and Whiskey in the Jar and you name it. Um, and sadly, you know, he's no longer with us. But The Boys Are Back in Town is used in so many Hollywood movies, and Whiskey in the Jar was covered by Metallica, and Whiskey in the Jar, of course, wasn't by Thin Lizzy. Whiskey in the Jar is a cover by Thin Lizzy because it's a very old song. In actual fact, the Cork and Kerry Mountains are only over the road from me here about 20 minutes, you know, where he's talking about as I was going over the Cork and Kerry Mountains. And every time I go that road, I always think of the Whiskey in the Jar song, you know. So it's, and if you saw that road that goes over the Cork and Kerry Mountains, it's out of this world, stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
Very,
had
very awesome.
Cowboy Song, Warriors, Romeo and the Lonely Girl.
You have to come to Ireland sometime. You do. You really have to come to Ireland. As we
Yeah,
would say in Ireland, Céad Míle Fáilte, you know, 100,000 welcomes. Yeah, we're very hospitable here, in particular to Americans, if you have enough money.
Oh man.
I actually
Well, that
looked.
leaves me out.
I actually looked into it about getting citizenship at one point in time. I was like, I'm gonna move back to Ireland when I retire out of the army and just set up shop there. And everybody's like, well, how are you going to get a citizenship? And I started looking. I was like, yeah, that's a good question. And as I researched, I come to find out because my grandmother was from there, I could get citizenship. I was like, oh, okay. I don't know if that's changed
Oh
now. It's probably
wow.
changed now, but at the time, I was like, oh, I can go over there and apply for citizenship. And because I'd literally had direct family that lived here at one point in time, and
Well,
I don't know if that's changed, if maybe there was a not a loophole, but a catch-22 there of, yeah, that's good and all, but you can't get the citizenship because your grandmother isn't a citizen here anymore. I don't know that, I don't know how
well,
that would.
we had a very a somewhat successful football team back in the 90s, and we qualified for the World Cup a few times, and we haven't qualified for the World Cup in a long time. And basically, we were using players from England, and as long as they had any Irish connection at all, you know, if their fifth cousin was Irish, they were on the team, you know. So if it can happen for them, it can happen for you, John. Yeah.
I was going to
Very
move
awesome.
over there and move out in the country, and I was just going to raise
Yeah.
sheep and goats. That was all
Yeah.
I was
So
going to do.
I'll give you a long, boring conversation another day, all about Ireland, and I tell you all about its history and the War of Independence and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I'm sure Michelle is eager to talk about the film. So
Yeah, I'm sitting here just rambling on about Ireland and bands from
No,
Ireland.
I would absolutely love to go visit there. I mean, every time I see pictures, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I would just want like a little house just off by myself in like the rolling hills or by the sea and all that other really
my
awesome stuff.
my door is always open. Yeah.
I will say this from family telling me this: if anybody mentions to you about ferries in Ireland, don't go near them because ferries are bad business in Ireland. You don't want to fuck with ferries.
Okay. Okay. I will take that into consideration, John.
Brandon might back me up on that, but I've been told that you don't. If there's fairy lands, you do not go into fairy lands there. And there's like people there that still believe in that.
There is a guy, and you have to. I'll send you on some clips, and I've met him several times. His name is Eddie Lenihan. He's got this great big beard that comes down to here, and long hair, and he believes in fairies. And his story made the New York Times about 15 years ago, because they were building this road near where he lives, and there was this fairy tree, and they were going to knock the fairy tree, And he came down one day and he said to the workers, he said, "That's a fairy tree. If you knock that, you're going to have incredible bad luck." So they all kind of said, "This guy's off his head," and other people kind of went, "I don't believe in fairies, but I'm not taking the risk." And they downed tools and they walked off the site. And that fairy tree still stands today, and they built the road around it. Yeah.
Okay. So they really, really believe in it. That's
Well, you see, people will say they don't. People will say, "I don't necessarily believe in it, but I
but you
won't
respect it.
mess." Yeah, I won't mess with it. I've gone into fairy forts, and they're quite astonishing. And people have different explanations for them, and you feel kind of funny vibes when you're inside there. Although that could be a placebo effect, perhaps, I don't know. But I've gone into fairy forts with him, and he's just fascinating to listen to. He's got a podcast on Spotify, and he talks about them.
I'm going to listen to him. That's always astonished me.
He is incredible. Send me on your email address or add me on whatever social media, and I'll send you on the links to it. He is absolutely astonishing to listen to. Yeah, brilliant.
Because I used to get told stories all the time about you don't mess, because our perception in the United States is they're Tinkerbells, looking at little cute things, but in Ireland, no. And
exactly.
They have a version of it here in Hawaii. They call it the Menehune.
I'm sure every culture has their different names for.
You'll see locals here that walk out in the fields and they'll leave food and different things out in the middle of these fields. And what they're doing is they're appeasing the Menehune so they don't come and, because I guess they'll come and make trouble in your house.
Mm-hmm.
And like Brandon was saying, they'll start cursing you. You'll have random family members just fall ill for whatever, just this unexplained reasons that you can't come up with. God, they were just fine yesterday, and now they're definitely today.
Yeah.
And the Hawaiian lore over here is they blame that on the Menehune, which is kind of like the fairies are to Ireland.
I know people have said to me that their family members have leveled fairy forts with JCBs, to build homes, and a year afterwards they got cancer or they died in a car crash or something terrible happened. So people just do not mess around with them. They don't. And I wouldn't. So no, absolutely not. And I asked Eddie Lenahan, I said, what does a fairy look like? And he just dramatically paused and turned to me and he said, "They could be sitting right beside you and you wouldn't know it."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
that's.
I watched one of those ghost hunting shows one time, Ghost Hunters, and I know that a lot of that crap's fake and they stage it and all, but they went to Ireland and they went to go investigate fairylands, and they went to take this local Irish guy out there with him, and when they told him where they were going, he was like, nope, I'm good. Y'all have fun. I'll see you later.
Well, how do you know that it's fairyland? I mean, is there like a sign that's posted? Would you know, or would you just be walking along and like, oops, I'm on fairyland, and then like you go home and like 20 of your relatives are dead because you've walked on the fairyland, or is there at least a sign that warns you, or no? You have to listen to the folklore and
it's been passed down in legends.
But you can see them. You can see them from heights, and I've taken some drone shots of them, and they're just perfectly round, and trees grow all around them, and inside it's just like this circle of trees, and inside is this flat area. Yeah. And it said, like, there's a story he tells, and I tell it very quickly, about Lisnagana, which means the fort of the singing. And there was two guys living in a village, and both of them had humps on their backs, right? One of them was very happy, and one of them was very misanthropic in that he hated everybody and everything. And one night, the happy guy was going home, and he passed Lisnagana, and he heard the fairies singing inside. So he went in out of curiosity, and of course they invited him in to sing with them. And they started singing in Irish, De Mart de Loon, and they started singing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the song, right? And he started singing along with them. And he was quite friendly with them. And they cut the hump from his back, and they screwed it off, and they threw it into the field. And he walked home, and he was able to stand up straight like this, right? And he went home, and he told his mother all about it, but he told her not to tell anybody. But of course, she couldn't keep it to herself. So she went down to the church the next morning, and she told the priest. And the priest told the shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper told everybody, until eventually it got back to the guy who had the hump on his back, who was very mean and cranky. He decided, I'm going to go to that fort, right?
So
next night, he's passing the fort at exactly midnight, and he hears the fairies inside, and they're singing the song Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And he shouts at them, and he goes, there's more days in the week than Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And they look at him, and they take offense to him. And they go back into the field where they threw the other guy's hump, and they pick it up, and they screw it onto his back. So he's got two humps now.
Man.
And he goes home, and he crawls under the bed, and he never again comes out from under the bed, and he dies under the bed, And that's just me briefly telling the story. But the way Eddie Lenihan tells that story, he tells it so horrifically and so brilliantly. I do it no justice. Yeah. So, like, if you do them a bad turn, then, if you'll pardon my French, you're fucked. Yeah. So
like what was it? The Boondock Saints, when they said Aaron go Bray. What does Aaron go Bray mean? He goes, that means you're fucked.
Right.
I haven't seen that in years, actually.
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow.
So I guess we could talk about Michelle, being we've been talking about Irish folklore and all that, but it's interesting.
It's okay. It is. It's very, and it's, yeah.
And I guess
it goes along with it.
Yeah, I guess it goes along with it, but
And I don't know what happened to Wendy. I tried texting, and I don't know. It almost looked like maybe she had to take off or something. So hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah,
but
somebody
I'm not sure.
in the chat said that she had to do something.
It was not Brent. It was Boogeyman Studios. He made a joke that she went to final processing.
Oh, I guess it went over my head. I was like, what?
Right.
So,
I guess we'll all go to final processing at some point.
Yeah. I guess for those that are new to my podcast that's never heard our original episode, what was it that the seed that was planted in your head to come up with this story?
Oh, goodness. Talk about folklore. I had, this was like a few years ago. This was back in like 2019-ish, I want to say. I was living in the desert. I was new to the area, and I had a weird dream one night, and of course I couldn't really decipher all of it, but it basically came out of a dream, because I had like particular elements that I knew that it was about, and I literally just the next day I was like, well, that would be interesting. And then I was thinking, well, okay, well, maybe this would work, maybe that would work, but this other thing, maybe that won't work, but maybe let's try it this way. And so I literally wrote like a whole notebook of stuff You know, when you have a dream, you need to write it down, right? So that's what I did. So it kind of stemmed out of a dream. And I mean, I absolutely love the film. I mean, I went to see it when I was in downtown Detroit, like back in the 80s, when it first came out. Halloween 3 was actually the very first Halloween installment that I had ever seen. I hadn't seen all the other ones before that. So literally when I saw Halloween 3 in a movie theater, which I saw it like several times, my folks took me to see it several times because I loved it. Don't ask me how they snuck a underage person into an R-rated film. But it wasn't until years later that I went, we actually rented Halloween 2 on video disc. And I was like, I had the absolute opposite reaction. I was watching it thinking, okay, so we're going to find out like who this Connell Cochran guy is, and we're going to find out how the factory started, and it's all about this Michael Myers guy. So it was like completely a whole 180. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it started from a dream that I had, and it just built from that. Kind of like had like the little bit of structure of like how I wanted it to be, and then I just kept adding and adding and adding. And then when I decided like, okay, I've always wanted to come out to Eureka, California, because not just for the Halloween films, but because it's just such a great area. I love camping and hiking, and it's like so beautiful, and there's so many things to do up here. It wasn't until I moved here that I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll go back to that idea that I had about writing this. So I started writing, and I came up with like, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 pages it really wasn't that long. And I showed it to Steve Merlo of the Sawyer Massacre, and I was like, what do you think? And he's like, well, it's good so far, but if you want to make a movie, it's going to have to be longer than like 5 or 6 pages, Michelle. So I started writing it, and I came back to him like a couple weeks later with like 62 pages. And yeah, I'm not sure if it was like a full 2 weeks, but there was some time in there.
And I mean, I've known you for a while. You basically went to film school, right?
Oh yeah.
But
I went to 2 film schools.
But is this the first movie that you're directing?
No, actually, I made a film when I was in community college called The Witching Hour, which we shot 16 millimeter. It had nothing to do with the book, the Anne Rice book. It was just a title that I stuck with. So we did that, and then when I came out west to the LA area, I went to AI, which was the Art Institute. The school is actually kind of shut down. It's defunct now because it was such an expensive school that it just ran out of money and students and people that had money to go there. But I made a film called Jimmy when I was there, and it was a little short. And so there's a couple under my belt, and I've made a little bit of films here and there. I mean, I think we talked about this when I was on your show before. My dad got a video camera when I was like 11 or 12, and in downtown Detroit. And basically this camera was like huge. I mean, it was the kind, it was called Quasar, and it was the kind that you have like the shoulder pack where you have the actual camera part, and then the other part which housed the tape, it was a separate unit. You had to put that over your shoulder, and it was like a little pack with you. And my friend James and I, which I lost contact with, but he lived on the other street next to ours, and he and I would always make these like crazy little short films, like action films, like ninja films. And we would dress up like ninjas and make fake Chinese stars out of tinfoil and just crazy stuff. So And then of course we had to edit things together, and my family was really the only family on the block that had two VCRs so we could edit, but everyone else thought that we were into the duplication process.
And I remember I told you I was.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
And tell me this, Michelle.
Yeah.
I don't think I asked you this before. Did you purposefully move to Eureka to be near where Halloween 3 was
Oh
originally shot?
gosh. It was, I mean, initially, yes, because I
Right.
absolutely love the area. But all kinds of different reasons. Like I said, I like hiking and on all that good stuff. And I just remember when I was in high school, I used to go up to the library and look at these big, huge atlases. And I remember, like, at the end of the Halloween 3 film, it says, made in Eureka. Thank you to all the people of blah blah blah. And I was like, well, where's this Lolita place? And so I looked up on a map, and I was like, oh, holy crap, it's an actual place. So I was like, okay, well, maybe someday I will get to visit there. And I don't know if I'll stay in this area. I like a lot of reasons why I'm here, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. Because there's other places in the world I want to see, but this is it for now.
When your work is done filming the third channel, then your journey will take you elsewhere.
It possibly could.
You'll have made your mark in Eureka, and then you can move on to greener pastures, as it were.
Maybe.
Hopefully, yeah.
I've got a bunch of friends that moved to Arizona, and they absolutely love it there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love it here, but it's there's a lot of things that I love that I didn't know specifically about. I mean, it's really, I don't want to say it's cloudy, but I love the weather. I love that it doesn't get like too hot or too cold. When I lived in the desert, I got heat exhaustion, and I had to sell the property that I had, by the way, because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to move and put, whatever I want to build on it out here, because I'm going to die of heat exhaustion. Because when I lived in the Lancaster, California area, I mean, I was just, the last year that I stayed there, I was in the house 90% of the time, and I actually got vitamin D deficiency because anytime I would go out, I would get heat exhaustion, and I'd get dizzy, and I'd be thirsty, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got to go back inside, cut the AC on, take my shoes off.
So you sound like me, because I actually I had a heat stroke when I was younger. And because I've had a heat stroke before, I am a what they call heat injury casualty, or something. They used to make me wear this little band on my helmet in the Army
Okay.
That basically identified me as a possible heat casualty, because I had heat stroke in the past. It's not fun. It really isn't.
Right.
It sucks.
And that was my worry when I traveled to California in July, was that I wouldn't be able to tolerate the heat, because last summer here we were getting temperatures of about 23 degrees Celsius, and I couldn't sleep at night. It was intolerable. But the place where I'm staying in Eureka, they were saying, "Oh, do you want an extra blanket at night?" And I was like, "For what?" And I said, "Oh, because it could get a bit chilly." And I was like, "I can live with that, And I'm like, if that's the way it's going to be, yeah, great, brilliant.
It's like I'm from
Ireland. Let's see if it tells me the temperature. It is 52 degrees right now here, and I have my little space heater on because I just got I got the chill. So that's me.
Yeah, it's still a bit cold here. I was at work today now, and the hospital wards can get quite warm, and I found myself putting on the waistcoat to keep myself a bit warm.
Mhm.
So normally I would wear this all the time on the ward in the winter, or a cardigan, or a sweater or jumper or whatever. But in the summertime, I wouldn't have the tie on. I'd have the buttons down to nearly here because I'd be just sweating. That
Mhm.
coupled with a mask that makes you look like Donald Duck, not fun. Not fun at all. So I'm glad
Donald
that,
Duck, really.
yeah,
No,
one
it
of
took me
those.
a while when I moved here to Hawaii because we never get winter. It is literally summer year round here. I mean, it gets cool in the winter, but only by about 10 degrees. But growing up in North Carolina, we got pretty cold winters and stuff, and it got humid. But I never had that kind of environment where it was just hot all the time. So that was like hard to get used to. And then when I went back home, I caught the tail end of winter. I remember when I went back home, and I damn near froze to death.
So
And it was
are you from Georgia originally?
I'm from North Carolina originally.
All
Okay,
right.
here we go.
Yeah, something similar to that. Yeah, they're not fun. They're not fun at all.
You kind of look like the mascot for the Oregon
Hi.
Ducks.
The what?
The Oregon Ducks.
Hi, folks. How you doing?
It's Howard the Duck.
I was just gonna
Howard the
say
Duck.
Howard the Duck. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. The news tonight is, I bought this thing like a couple of years ago. I've never even used it. Because I will not divulge where I used to work, but let's just say that it's a place where chicken can be served. And I wanted to wear this during the whole pandemic thing, and I just never did. I think I might have worn it like once.
Kerry Yates is asking, is that an NHS mask?
NHS.
National Health Service in the UK.
No,
No,
no.
Kerry, I don't think that's a National Health Service mask that she's wearing. It's a novelty mask. The ones we're wearing,
I just bought it online.
Kerry, if you Google it, Kerry, we're wearing FFP2 masks, and they're not pleasant at all.
Yeah, you can't get a breath of air for them things.
No, they're rotten. They're absolutely rotten.
We would have to wear them because I work in a body shop. And when we would get cars delivered, when the whole pandemic was really in full swing, we would literally have to wear those before we could get into the cars to actually check them in and everything. And then when we got out of them, we could take it back off, but only after we went and basically like surgeons went in there, scrubbed ourselves. It was like crazy. Just passing out hand sanitizer. You're basically just bathing in it all day long.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And I still got COVID.
I didn't get it, thankfully. I've seen that hand sanitizer melt faux leather on chairs and all kinds of stuff, and apparently people's cars have ignited in the heat because of hand sanitizer. Yeah. So all kinds of odd things have happened.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We literally had people at work that were getting like skin rashes and stuff from it because they were.
Well, I mean, I guess it does have like ethanol or alcohol or something in there.
60% or 70% even at times. Yeah. So if you drank that, you'd have one hell of a hangover afterwards.
Oh gosh. But you'd be very sanitized.
There's a reason why I'm wearing this, John, tonight.
It's hard for me to see my eyes.
Yeah, I think I know what it is, but it's probably hard.
Oh, I can see it now.
It's a little wolf pin.
Yes. And we all know what little wolf translates to in Gaelic. Your character's name, O'Whalen.
Yes, my character's name is Off Whalen. So my character in the film
Yes, please. Let's talk about your
is
character.
my character is a very sinister character, but he is full of charm, and he approaches this young lady who is the granddaughter of Colonel Corcoran, and he tells her that she has inherited silver shamrock novelties. Mm. And that's about as much as I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. So he's not a nice man. Mm. And I do like playing evil characters. I think, you know what, any actor would say they love playing bad guys and evil characters. Yeah.
You
So
know, I have always read that they said most of the time the nicest actors, the most humble actors in Hollywood always make the best antagonists because they get
I
more into the character because they're normally naturally not that way. So to be that way is like kind of like letting loose, so they get more into.
I think that is probably right, because I wouldn't say, like sometimes at work you have to be cruel to be kind
Oh,
with people, you know.
But
Welcome, Steve.
what's up,
You've got
Steve?
to be cruel to be kind with people. You've got to, as we would properly say, you've got to foster independence with people. And I wouldn't say I'm cruel, but I can be stern with people, you know. And obviously, I'm not nasty or anything. I'm not nasty to anybody. But I think there are times when we all want to say things that we can't say.
Oh,
And
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Mm. And I endeavor to be a nice person, and I do a lot of good work for the community locally and all that. But there are people who just really grind my gears and get on my nerves. So when you get the opportunity to play a bad guy, if you are, you know, somebody who is a nice person in general, it gives you the opportunity to let off steam. Yeah. And the last few characters I've played have been, they haven't necessarily been bad guys, but they've been very authoritative, stern figures. And this guy he's more sinister than anything else. He's quite
Mm.
similar. He's quite similar rather to Colonel Corcoran,
Hmm.
and he just has this subtle evil nature to him, I would say. Yeah. So he's not a
Hmm.
panto. He's not a, as we would say. I don't know if you say that in America. He's not a panto baddie. Do you know what I mean by that?
I've never heard that one before.
So a pantomime is
Oh, a
Oh,
pant. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
pantomime.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you
yes.
said a pant. I was like, what?
No. So he's not a panto. He's not a pantomime baddie. You know, he's just kind of a senator, and he's not a typical James Bond bad guy either. He seems like a charming individual, but he's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
He thinks that he's doing the right thing by bringing back the old ways, like the original movie. He thought, making Halloween what it was supposed to be and what it was intended to be, always saving
Hmm.
it.
Right.
Felt like
Right.
he was saving the world. So what's
Oh yeah.
sacrificing a few kids and a
Right.
few people to saving the world? You know,
It's a bit like Thanos in the Avengers. You know, Thanos's motives. He believes are for the greater good,
Hmm.
and Thor goes away and cuts his head off. Spoiler alert. You know.
Right. And I think that just goes back to like human nature anyways. What some people would call somebody who would be classified as an evil person or a bad person, what that person and not that I'm like really, trying to play too much into devil's advocate, but what that person really wants to do is they do want to do something that is what they think is good. It's not like there's got to be a reason. Like even going back to like film classes, one of the things that got drilled into me, which I think centers I've taken a lot of things from my screenwriting classes. One of the things that I'll touch on is in screenwriting class, they basically told us never really make a character, never justify them by saying like, oh, they did that because they're evil, they killed somebody, they set someone's house on fire, blah blah blah, because they're evil. That's like a very easy way out. If you give it some backstory and make it more interesting, like maybe this person went to this high school and people were picking on them and they had an abusive stepfather or something, and all they really wanted was this, that, or the other, and then we have a story, then we have like motive. But I think with all characters, there's got to be some motive there for a reason why they do something. And a lot of times you see, especially in horror, they'll just take the easy ticket out and say, well, that person just did that because they're evil. And my film really takes a little closer look, and I would almost want to say a more sophisticated type of look, more along like in the same vein as Polanski, that type of thing, something where you really examine the characters, instead of just calling it what Hollywood wants us to call something, because that's
like
just boring.
Polanski's Rosemary's Baby, in a sense.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm referring to. Yep.
Which that movie, I don't think they ever really showed the monster, but it was always implied.
Right,
That was what was
right.
so scary about it.
Yeah, I think they probably showed like a little hoof or something like off to the side or something. The camera didn't actually go down there and show you.
But to me, with horror movies, I've always appreciated that. Like last week, me, Steve Merlot, and a couple of us, Jason Pitts, we all talked about the Blair Witch Project, and that was the beauty of it. You didn't see the monster, but you knew it was there. But not seeing it just added to that whole scare factor, and that was something about. Not that it's the same with Halloween 3, but at the same time, you're wondering if he's willing to go this far to kill kids to stop Samhain from coming back and unleashing hell on earth or whatever. Then what does Samhain look like? That was that was always kind of a question that I wondered, because if he's willing to go this far and take all of the money he's made, his successful business and everything, and flush it down the toilet to murder children with his masks, his novelties, and to stop something from happening, this great catastrophe of some sort.
And I will say, I've always thought that the poster, that creature on the poster, was like the Samhain thing.
What most people thought was the witch was actually Samhain.
Or the witch or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So I never thought of it that way.
You go back to the Buddy Kupfer and his death scene. Like growing up in the 80s, I would have seen An American Werewolf in London. I would have seen Dawn of the Dead, The Fly, you name it. I don't think anything ever shocked me as much as watching young Buddy Kupfer collapse to his knees and then grab his head like that and then fall to the ground and watch these bugs and snakes come out of this mask. That was
scared the hell out of you as a kid.
That was totally messed up, and that was a really brave move from a filmmaker, because
I don't think you can do things like that anymore.
You shouldn't have been able to do that in that period of time, because the 80s to now, the Christian conservatives were like nuclear in the 80s, and
they were.
And
Definitely.
how they got
The
that
whole-
scene passed is beyond me. I guess the whole Motion Picture Association was basically was liberal, more left leaning than it was right leaning.
Mhm.
But you would
I
think all
think-
these religious groups would have just come out the woodwork and would have just attacked this film, and they did to a certain degree. There was certain cities that the movie was showed in where there literally was protests against the film.
I was doing a live stream with a group called Dos Incredibles last week about Night of the Living Dead. And we were
Yes.
talking about the child in the basement. And we were talking about children in horror. And, you know, we were just saying how taboo it is to have children and animals being harmed in movies.
Right.
But Assault on Precinct 13, which predates Halloween, has a child being shot.
Yes.
Got it right here.
Such a great film.
That's actually John Russo's autograph right here on the bottom.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, I'll check out Dos Incredibles. We did a stream of the Living Dead. We did it there about 2 weeks ago. But not only do you have the child in the basement, and like I say, you have the child being shot in Assault on Precinct 13 by John Carpenter, but you also have I think it was an Alsatian being killed by Michael Myers in Halloween 1978. So all of these things are very taboo. And then you've got Halloween 3, and you've got Buddy Kupfer and him dying like that in such an absolutely abhorrent way. But again, a brave move for a filmmaker. Really brave move.
Right.
How that passed the censors, I have no idea.
Yeah, I've always wondered that.
I'm wondering how much of that was Nigel Neal and how much changing that happened to get when it got into the hands of Tommy Lee Wallace, though, too. You know, if they kept, because I heard that the original Halloween 3 had a very violent ending, that the character of Dan Chalice was supposed to be in like one of those wicker things at the end, like the Wicker Man, and they took that out of there because they wanted a different ending. And
see, I've always wondered too, because they said Dino De Laurentiis took Nigel Neal's script and said this is trash and wanted it more bloody and more gory.
mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's always been these conflicting stories between what Nigel Neal was trying to do and what De Laurentiis wanted.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, for me, I just really want to tell a story. You know, I want to tell something that's unique, something that hasn't been seen before, and I don't think it. I mean, Brendan's read the script. You're gonna have to tell me if you think that it's anything that you've read before or know of. I mean, I don't. I hope people feel that it's unique. So.
Well, you to me are doing the Lord's work, I will say, because that movie when
Or how do you know it's not the other guy?
well, the thing was, when that movie ended, there was always that cliffhanger, and I know it was always intended to be, because Deborah Hill and John Carpenter wanted to shoot it like a Twilight Zone episode, where if you watch the old Twilight Zones, most of those stories always ended with a cliffhanger with no explanation after the fact, and that was because Rod Serling wanted you to always have that element of mystery there of
right.
what happened, you know.
Yeah, that open ending, that open-ended ending. Yeah. in terms of your script, I don't know how to answer that question without giving away anything.
Right. I was about to say, I don't know how you can answer it without actually explaining.
But I'm very happy with it. Yeah. I think what you've done with it is very cool. Yeah, I do. Because it's not linear. It's not at all linear. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. Yeah. Carrie Yates says she's got the original Precinct on VHS. Whoa.
That might be worth some money there, Carrie. You might want to look into that.
I have no VHS tapes. I have actually, I got,
Hey,
hey,
Rob.
Father Mahoney, Rob, I actually got a VHS player last week. They were throwing it out at work. So it's in the boot of my car. The
So
trunk, as you would say.
I've got boxes full of them, but these two are on my desk at the moment because I'm doing a retrospective on both of them, Blade Runner and Lost
Ah,
Boys.
classics. Brilliant.
Wow.
I've
Brilliant
kept all
movies.
my VHS tapes from when I was a kid. I'm a hoarder like that. I just couldn't part with them because those movies I cherished, mainly because my grandparents bought them for me. And I just held on to them because my grandparents have passed, and that's kind of, sentimental value.
Hmm.
They probably don't play for shit anymore because they're damn near 40 years old, half of
Oh
them.
gosh.
And they're basically not wrapped, so they've been exposed to.
Well, one thing I can tell you about VHS is make sure that you periodically forward and rewind it. Because if you don't, you'll get what's known as a print through, which is the iron oxides going on to the other side, and then when you go back to play it, it'll be all like snowy. This is something that I learned in like TV production.
That might be what's wrong with this Blade Runner because it doesn't look good at all anymore. Which it
Yeah.
never was shot perfect. I mean, it wasn't 4K
Right.
at the time, but it's definitely very muddy looking on the screen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I played it back.
Michelle, I'm looking at some of the perks behind you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
Oh.
what you have?
Yeah, let me actually bring up some of the perks as well so I can actually see them and talk about them. Right now we have the masks from Boogeyman Studios. Those are available. The pumpkin, we can actually get them as a set now. We have the pumpkin, the witch,
They're
and the
really,
skeleton.
really awesome.
Yeah, I love these. They're really great. And I have them behind me too setting. And if you don't want to go big and you want to get something small, you can go for the buttons. The buttons are pretty easy to get. We have the special thanks and the credits. I don't know if I'm allowed to say numbers on here, so I'll just, it begins with a 1 and ends with a 5.
There you go.
For the soundtrack, we have the soundtrack here, digital download. DVDs. We've got aprons too. We've got aprons, and no one has claimed any aprons yet. T-shirts, the Blu-rays. Blu-rays are kind of the big seller. We've got a clock.
So I just brought up your third channel Indigo.
Oh, here we go. Thank you. That's what we needed all along.
So, okay, so we got your 3 mask and associate producer credit for 666, the number of our Lord and Savior. No, just kidding. But $666. Then you've got a silver shamrock button for 5. A special thanks in the credits. Does that also appear on IMDb as well?
Yes,
Okay.
It will. Yep.
For 15. Then you can get the soundtrack with the movie, which the music that Keith did for your trailer was freaking awesome.
I love it. Yeah,
all that John Carpenter vibe.
Keith McCoy is an incredible talent and
Yes.
A fellow Irishman. Yeah,
Yep.
but he is an incredible talent. Absolutely.
I have a little bit of Irish in me too on my mom's side.
This handsome fellow
to
over
throw
here,
that out there.
That's Steve Merlot. He has a campaign too.
Yep.
The man named after the wine.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, Merlot or Merlot?
Steve Cabernet Sauvignon.
Vindapes?
You got a digital download for 25.
But just don't be like Marge and use that bobby pin.
Then you've got and that was Tom Atkinson's wife, wasn't it?
It was at the time. Yeah. Garn Stevens. Yeah, Garn Stevens.
Then you can get the DVD, which I keep meaning to buy one of those to add to my collection for 25. Then you can get a silver shamrock apron, which I want one of those too, so when I barbecue.
There you go. Then it can really be a misfire.
And you can get a Silver Shamrock T-shirt, which I haven't started the design for you yet, Michelle. I promise when I get to it.
Okay, no worries. Anytime.
The Silver Shamrock T-shirt for $30, and you can get the Blu-ray for $35. Well, a lot of people's claim that one.
Yeah.
The Clock is Ticking, which is a Silver Shamrock clock, which I like the color scheme because my favorite color is orange.
Mine too. I need to get one of those. I'll probably end up getting one as well.
A signed poster. That's signed by the cast?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's $45. That's definitely a collector's item for all you horror collectors like moi here. Picture and Blu-ray bundle. You get your picture in the movie and you get a Blu-ray for $45. Ooh, this is the one I might have to get, Michelle. The digital download and the signed poster. For $45. How come nobody's even claimed that? Come on, guys. It's failing.
I know.
Screen use prop. Hey, you got two. That's $50. That's cheap for screen use props, guys. I've been on eBay and seen screen use props go for thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah, but I get this is a fan film, but at the same time, you've got connections to the original film with two actors in your movie that were there when that original movie was made. So, those props and anything that's collectors, guys, that's from her Indiegogo holds some value because she has two actors from that original movie. And she has a T-shirt, soundtrack, and a thanks, and that's not a bad price. That is $60. A picture in the film for $75.
Yep.
There's me looking all sexy.
I might have to buy that and do that face at your child's picture in the film.
No one's gotten that.
I might have to give you my two kids, which they're both in their 20s now, but.
And I have to give a shout out to some of my co-stars as well. Heather Beck is brilliant, and David Andrew Butcher is just his acting skills. He's playing Dan Chalice, and he just does an incredible Dan Chalice. He's brilliant. He's very, very good. You know,
I must say this fellow over here really does look evil as shit, don't he?
Oh, he's a bastard. Yeah.
Oh my! He's a bastard.
But David is, in fairness to him, he's very dedicated. Anytime we do rehearsals, he asks those questions, and you can just tell he's really into the role.
He looks like Tom Atkins.
He does. Yeah. That's one reason why I asked him to come audition, and then he had the voice for it, and I was like, well, this will work.
And the only other actor I've met in rehearsals as well is Daniel London, and Dan is a great guy.
Daniel's great.
Dan is brilliant.
Oh, Witchy Doll Hagatha.
Yep, and that is actually done by Michelle Apollonia of Breathless Beauties, and she does awesome work. I love that little doll.
Yeah, I hired her to do a doll for Nancy Ritter from Scream.
Oh, yes, I saw that. It's so awesome. Yes.
And Nancy takes that to all the cons now and puts it on.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Then you can get a screen-used distress mask for $175. Like I said, guys, screen-used anything is collector.
Which is also behind me, sitting on this box.
Do you want to bring it up a bit closer, Michelle, so we can have a look at it? Can you do that?
Yeah, I was going to do that, actually. I was going to do that with all of these. Let's do that after we go through the
cool
thing
and
here.
You got the witch mask for $200.
Right, and that one is just a regular one. It's not signed or anything. It's just, and it's a second edition, by the way, because the first one that was priced up there is the one that's a little bit more up on the tier.
Associate producer credits for any of you aspiring producers out there for $250. I'm a producer on this film. Why not join me?
There's Danny Boy.
There you go.
Daniel Lund. Danny Boy.
Danny.
Great guy.
He does a great Jimmy too. I just, again, these actors that I'm working with just like kind of came out of the script and, you know, appeared in front of me.
This is the mask I like, the skull mask. 250.
Oh yeah, a lot of work went into that, from what Anthony from Boogeyman Studios told me.
God, he does good work.
Oh yeah,
he does.
Then you can get the screen used pumpkin mask, which that one's signed, right? So that one's going to be a little bit more because it's signed by Brad Schechter,
right?
And Brad Schechter was the original kid that was killed off in the original movie, if I remember correctly. He was the one that Brandon was talking about that grabbed at his head and all the spiders and shit fell out of him. That was him.
And he is in the third channel. He plays a tour guide.
And this is, without a doubt, a collector's item because he was one of few kids killed on screen ever in
That's
film.
True. That is a very good point.
And in the trailer, and I don't even know whether he's doing it intentionally or not, Brad comes across as wickedly sinister.
Well, that's kind of his character. That's kind of the direction that I gave him, as the type of character that he's playing.
Oh, so you got Brad playing a bad guy in this?
Yep.
Oh, so he's got a role reversal. I like it.
Oh yeah. Whatever project I come into, I really try to flip things. I won't give away too much, but I'm working on a film that has Lloyd Kaufman in it. As a matter of fact, it's called Family Property 2: More Blood, and John Alton, who also does he's helping out in both a little bit of casting here, and he's also a John Alton song is going to be featured in the third channel as well. I can't divulge which one that's going to be, but John Alton, you'll recall, does the Sleepaway Camp film music. He did Sleepaway, and he's doing the music for this film. And the director producer, because I'm editing it, he asked me, he's like, well, you know, I'll let you choose, Michelle, and I won't divulge too much, but there is a song that is in this movie, in Family Property 2, and I flipped it from what it was originally.
I would love to talk to John Alton because
send him a friend's request. He's a very awesome guy. He's like my business partner.
I love Sleepaway Camp. I put that up in like high tier for horror movies with me. I know it's not for everybody, and some people don't.
And Felissa Rose actually does an introduction to this film that I'm working on.
That's got to be the hardest working woman in horror movies.
She is amazing.
What anybody
says.
Yeah. I have had one conversation with her where I asked her if I could ever have her on the podcast, and she basically says, I'm not blowing you off, but I am so busy that there's no way I can make promises. And I was like, look, just the fact that I got to talk to you through email was enough for me. That's, made my...
It must be the most famous appendage scene on screen ever.
Yeah, and it was a college student that they superimposed her face onto. It was some college student from up the road, and I was like, wow, he had a very weird looking wiener.
Yeah, I have the I guess you can't really see it from here, but I have the Sleepaway Camp poster.
I thought you were going to say you have the Sleepaway prostate.
No.
It was like, I got the dick back here on the nightstand.
All right, everybody. Would you like to see something?
It's numbered. It's 1 of 1.
1 of 1. Signed by the artist. Oh man.
Yeah, she's on Joe Bob Briggs's last drive-in. Now she does what's called the Mangled Dick Expert. So anytime they show a movie, like when they did Street Trash, there's a part in there where Frank Farrell, who's a friend of the show, has been on my show, gets his ding ding cut off. And well, in the last drive-in, Felisa Rose does a commentary for that as a mangled dick expert.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
Well, let's see. You got this. Oh, here it is. The screen used and signed Witch Mask, which is also signed by Wendy Wessberg and
Yep.
Brad Schechter. And Wendy was just on here, but we lost her.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what happened. I don't know.
Then you got original artwork signed, $300, and that's a beautiful art print, or not a print, actual original art.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the executive producer, which is $500, and that's cheap for executive producer because I've got some friends that's got movies where that executive producer is
You're right.
thousands. Wow, you got a big old cast.
Oh yeah. Big old cast. Ding ding. Yep, that's pretty much it.
Well, now I guess you can show your.
Yeah.
I'll exit this. See if I can.
Look at
So
that.
the first I'll show is this one here. This
Change.
is a.
Oh, never mind.
This is a Distress Trick or Treat Studios mask. He did a little Silver Shamrock on here. And yeah.
Oh, he modified that
So
way
there's
better.
that. It will be in the third channel.
She's like me when she puts stuff down super careful.
And next up, we have Gordy. We call him Gordy. That's what Anthony from Boogeyman Studios named him.
I like
and
it.
this I guess, is real peat moss or something that he put up there.
Incredible talent.
There's a little place for the Silver Shamrock emblem.
But they just. I'm not sure the name of the guy in Boogeyman Studios, but hats off to him. There's incredible talent in that. That's really, really
And
good
next
stuff.
up, we have one of my favorites, The Witch. This is definitely got to be like my favorite. And this one is, of course, going to be using a kill scene.
Yeah, because it's damn near spot on to the original
detail
movie.
that he put into it is just phenomenal. I love it. Again, it has some peat moss and I don't know if like burlap or something there. Or I think it's cheesecloth actually.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like old cheesecloth.
So yeah, there's a lot of like attention to detail.
What's the name of the guy in Boogeyman Studios? Do you know the name of the guy in Boogeyman Studios, John?
Let me look. Who the Googles? Boogeyman Studio.
So yeah, as you can see, he did a lot of work on these. I don't have the skull with me right now. He still has that. I think at some point.
What's his name?
Anthony Marino, I believe is his. He was just in the chat here earlier.
Oh yeah.
He was the one I've been talking to a little bit here and there.
He was the one that said that Wendy must have went to final processing.
Oh yeah.
I hope that she didn't get bored because I know I wanted to introduce her and I hope she didn't get bored and like she must have had like somebody must have come to her door or something. But hopefully I'll find out. Maybe we can bring her on again at some point. I'm not really sure with like a different podcast or something. But
Yeah, maybe we didn't bore her talking about Ireland. Or
Yeah, I'm kind of tired myself, so I was like, I really hope I didn't like really bore her. Like go through introductions with people, and I was trying to like fit it in with everyone who was talking.
She probably had something that came up. No big.
Yeah, we'll see. She's a really great person, though. She did really amazing work. Just because we filmed her stuff remotely. She didn't come here to this area to film it. We did it like online, and as you could see in the trailer, the lead actress is going to be speaking. Well, I won't give it away, but she's on a cell phone. So if you can kind of put those two together. So again, don't want to say the whole scene, but yeah, you can see my Sleepaway Camp poster this way.
Yep, I see it.
Where is Wendy? What state is Wendy currently living in?
She's here in California. She's not in this
Okay.
area, but she's in like the southern part.
All right. Okay.
That's the Frank's Kids poster. Frank's Kids from Instagram. Who
Yeah.
does cartoon work.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to get him on the podcast for so long, but he's so dang busy. He never has time.
And
But
Anthony put his name in the chat here, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Anthony
were just talking about you.
Marinaro. I guess I'm saying that correctly. I'm Southern.
Oh, I probably butchered it. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry if I did.
I'm Southern, and my accent fucks up a lot of words.
So when you have I have to ask this question. So if you have a cat that's in in the southern realm, do the cats like have a twang? Are they like meow?
I don't know. I mean,
meow.
I could find my cat and we can find out because she's lived around me for 7 years.
Or are they just like meow? Like everywhere, it's just meow.
She only meows at me when she wants something. Typical woman. I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh.
No, I love my kitty cat.
Yeah, I have to live with 2 of them. Well, 3 of them. One is kind of adopted. He comes in and out. Yeah.
Aw.
So, and he's got this shoulder, and it goes up and down like this when he walks. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
He's like kind of injured.
We just call him Shoulder. That's
Shoulder.
His name. Yeah, that's his name.
Comes in doing the gangster lean.
Yeah, he just goes walk to that.
He's like, yes, master. What do you want?
Yeah, a bit like that.
There you go. You could name him Igor. Good, master. Good. Lily, when Lily rubs her belly just.
So is it Monday or Sunday with you guys at the moment?
It's still Sunday for me.
It's still Sunday for me.
Okay, so it's 4:51 a.m. Monday morning with me. And it's now what?
Yeah, we've been on here for like an hour and a half.
It's 7 weeks away.
Yep.
Yeah.
7 weeks away. Yeah.
About that, and I'm actually going to scout a location tomorrow, and I think this is going to be okay. There's so much I cannot talk about, isn't there? There's one. I will tell you what it is for this particular one, but I think it'll be really great. But I've got to see what he's got.
Well, before you all are ready to wrap it up and everything, I mean, something I wanted to ask you though.
Yeah.
What happened with the old factory? Because I know y'all had that earthquake and it got damaged. Were they able to save it?
Yeah. So as far as I know, and I've got to go back down there. I've talked with the lady, the new owners, because someone just bought it. So they're going to repair things in there. And they're gonna make it something. I think it's gonna be like another creamery, as far as I know. So I don't know what other structural damage there is to that part, or if it's only. See, since I wasn't there, I don't know. I've only seen the pictures that people have sent me with it's collapsed on like one side, part of it. I don't know if the other side is similar or if it's just that part. I'm hoping, because I wasn't planning on filming from that direction. So if it somehow works out that I can film in the other spot that I was wanting to, that would be great. But I'm probably gonna have to go down there and check it out. But you asked if it's going to be repaired and whatnot. Since they bought it, I'm presuming that they're in the process of getting things, revamped in there so that it's safe.
I'll come back to your location question in a second, right? But I want to ask you one thing in case I forget, right?
Sure.
So in Ireland, we would try to capitalize on, famous sons and daughters of Ireland. We would try and capitalize on famous areas that were used in history. There is a trail you can take in Ireland where certain films were shot.
Yeah.
So in Lolita, where they filmed Halloween 3,
yes,
and they used that building.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that that area isn't capitalizing on the cult following that building possesses?
I would say so. There is a plaque that has been put up by the Film Commission here that states that it was used for that purpose, and it says Halloween 3. It says Tom Atkins on it. Universal Studios, or so yeah. There's.
I saw a video online not so long ago. It was a guy who did a kind of a tour around the building, and it looks very derelict. It looks in terrible disrepair.
Oh God! I mean, I'm from Detroit, and I won't even step foot into that building. I mean, that's just like they're gonna have to like repair it before I would. I mean, and they are. I can't imagine somebody buying a building like that and then not having any plans to, especially if it's going to be some type of working business.
And for me, and I have no problem in saying this, I always say this, I'm 42 years of age, right? I'm still a big kid at heart.
Oh yeah.
Buildings like that, I would love. I would just go in the window and I would go all around it, I love those kind of buildings.
And there's been people that have gone in there with cameras and gone through the window, and it's like, I don't know. They must have used the buddy system and said, if I'm not back in like 2 hours, call the ambulance. Because I mean, I would not walk in there. I mean, it just.
I know that's probably a stupid thing to say, and I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying people should do it.
Oh no. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest worry with it when they had that earthquake, was that any of the load bearing beams and in there got damaged or whatever, because if they did, they're going to condemn that place because there's nothing you can do.
Right. I'd say it was probably condemned before the earthquake by the sounds of it.
Oh yeah, no, and I agree with that. Because it was very, very dilapidated in that building. And again, I don't know what they've done to it structurally since then. But it's really nice to know that somebody has bought it and has plans for it, because that building has sat for probably since that film was made. No one's really done anything with it.
So going back to your location scouting tomorrow, can you tell us anything about that?
Ooh. It will be a final processing scene. So that's as much as I can say.
And you know what?
Welcome to the future of ancient technology.
you being covert about it to the public is cool, because nobody wants you to come on here and give away the whole thing because
No,
you
I'll
know.
end
Oh,
I'll end the stream if you start to do that. I'll be like, oh, technical difficulties.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, who likes going into a movie theater or going on YouTube and seeing a trailer that gives you every single detail of the
Oh
movie from
God.
beginning to end?
I had
I
somebody
hate
at
And
work do that to me with the Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I'm a
and
huge
I
Ghostbusters fan.
and I
And
wonder if I too have made that mistake with everything I put in the trailer because I was so excited. I just wanted to show what everybody had to do. You know, like
No,
everybody.
I don't think you did. No, I
Yeah.
don't think you did. No, you didn't.
you
No,
touched
trust
on
me.
you touched on nostalgia with everything there, the music, just
Mhm.
No.
the ambiance, the even the special effects with the little lasers and stuff was very 80s.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
you definitely touched on that throwback nostalgia nerve, but you didn't give away too much.
Okay.
Can
Cool.
can I just say very briefly, and I know this upset one or two people, right? I'm going to say this, and I have no qualms about it. There was a certain channel that will not be named, um,
Oh.
that accused us, right, of dubbing Dan O'Hurley's voice and Tom Atkins's voice in the trailer, right? And I know, to be fair, it annoyed you, Michelle, but
Mm.
for me personally, I thought it was the greatest compliment ever.
Oh
That
yeah.
somebody thought that me doing the voice like this was actually Dan O'Hurley.
Mhm.
You know, so I actually thought, you know what, they really genuinely thought these guys are so lame. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
they actually brought Dan O'Hurley's voice into it and they dubbed it, and you know they made it sound like the character. And I was like, no, that's my voice. And
Right. I
I
even made
just
a video about it showing the
And if
clips of.
yeah yeah.
and I think if people really did their homework, you have been in contact with Tom Atkins, and I believe, right, Michelle? And he's
We tried reaching out. One of the associate producers tried reaching out to them. They were unsuccessful, but we then found out that he's SAG. Now I did speak with Stacey Nelkin. I did do that, and I spoke with her personally, and she probably would have done it if we would have went SAG, but there was just no way.
but
I
I'm
mean,
also saying
it would
too,
have like
you
tripled
but you've
the
pretty much
production
gotten the
costs.
blessing from a lot of these people to do this film.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I don't know about I don't know about blessing. I don't know. You know, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't
I
know
don't,
who would say what. I don't
I
want to
don't
put
think
words in
Tom
people.
Atkins would be against it because I don't know, he comes off as somebody that just
Oh, I've heard
appreciates
really great things about him. Yeah,
he just
he's like very
appreciates
down to earth.
everything.
I've never met
I
him, but yeah,
I I think he comes across as a man of decency,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah. But
exactly.
the other thing is, when I saw the newest trailer,
Hmm.
I hadn't met David Butcher in the online rehearsals,
Right.
and when I had heard the trailer and I had heard Dan Chalice's voice, I actually thought, oh my God, it was just uncanny. It really was,
Hmm.
you know. I mean, I don't know what
And I
I'm
threw
my
that
own,
dial tone in there for some nostalgia reasons, and
I'm my own worst critic, right? I don't want to necessarily do an impression of Dan O'Hurley, but I do want to sound a bit like the character that he
right,
portrayed, because my normal Irish accent, you know, wouldn't come across as you can hear by
right,
my
right,
voice,
right, right.
you know. So I have to sound like a very refined, dapper man, if you know what I mean. But when I heard David Butcher, I was blown away. I was genuinely blown away. I
Hmm.
just thought, wow. And then when you
Oh
showed the
yeah.
tape of you doing the rehearsals with him, and he's just, like I say, the level of dedication with him is brilliant. And
Hmm.
he just nailed it. He really
Oh
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Agree 100%. Yes.
I was hoping maybe you would throw in a thrill me in there a little bit. Have you ever watched Night of the Creeps?
Oh yeah. Thrill me. He says, yeah.
Tom Hanks's favorite catchphrase in Night of the Creeps. Thrill me. Thrill me.
I've only seen it once. Yeah. Yeah, it's good though. Yeah. Is there a sequel to that?
No.
I don't think so. No.
It flopped so bad. I talked to I had Andre Gower on my podcast about it's been almost a year since me and Steve Merlo talked to him. He played in Monster Squad. He was one of the kids from Monster Squad. The original director for Night of the Creeps also did Monster Squad, but I guess he wanted to do sequel for Night of the Creeps, but bombed so bad he didn't. But it found its place on the secondary market. And then when he did Monster Squad, it bombed too. And then it found its place on the secondary market. So I guess he just kind of like left well enough alone and just like, I'll just leave it as is and it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were talking earlier about giving away too much information, I really got into the idea of watching things blindly. Like if somebody tells me that something is good, I'll say no more, and I'll watch it. And I've been raving about Ty West's X. Have you seen it? Have you seen it, John?
No, I haven't.
Just don't Google it.
I looked to see if it was playing around here anywhere, and I couldn't find it.
Just don't Google it, right? Just don't Google any information about it at all.
Okay.
And just go and watch it. It's just called X, but put in the words Ty West with it because X is a very if you Google X, all kinds of things will come up, I imagine. But Ty West and his work on this movie X is incredible. All I'll tell you about it is that it's set in the 70s, and it's just
don't.
incredible.
That sounds awesome in itself. Because I'm set in the 70s. I'm from the 70s, so I wanna.
You'll love it. I'd be very surprised if you didn't like it. I just thought it was one of the best horror films that I've seen in a long, long time.
And another one too that we were all talking about earlier, which was set like it was set partially in the 70s and then ended in the 80s. I think 80 or 81 was Candy. Heather was talking about that, and then I got on and I watched it. And I don't know if you've seen it, Brendan, but
I gave up after 2 episodes. Did you finish it? Did you finish it?
Oh, I loved it.
Did you? Or I might go back to it. So yeah.
I did. And I wasn't familiar with the case, so I didn't know what was going to happen. But I will tell you, I was very surprised.
Okay, yeah.
If you, and then Donnie and Marie and all that other stuff, and like those Boston Red Sox. I'm just going to be quiet right now. I don't want to tell you anymore. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I thought that Heather might be a little bit biased because it's set in Texas, and I thought maybe that's why. But the first 2 episodes didn't grab me, so I'll go back to it.
I will have to ask her if she. I don't know if she had finished it when the time that we were.
Yeah.
When I was asking her about it, so I'll have to see if she finished it and if she liked it. I
tell you, a movie I'm looking forward to is Black Phone with Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
Have you ever read any Joe Hill comics? Joe Hill was kind of like Stephen King's protege at one point in time.
That's his son.
He's the one. Yeah, he did like Lock and Key, which is on Netflix.
Yeah.
But he did Black Phone. He does a lot of horror, like Heads in a Basket, stuff like that.
But he is Stephen King's son, isn't he?
I don't know. I always heard that he was kind of his understudy. He might be.
I thought he was his son. I could be wrong with that. No. Yeah.
But he's doing a movie with Ethan Hawke called The Black Phone. It's about this guy that kidnaps children and murders them.
Yeah, and
he wears a devil's mask that Tom Savini created, and it's wicked looking as shit.
Wow.
Scott Derrickson exited Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Creative differences, the usual line they use, and Sam Raimi came on board, and Scott Derrickson went back to Blumhouse and made the Black Phone. And pre-screenings have had people raving about it. And I went to see Multiverse of Madness last week, and I thought it was good. I thought it would be better. I could see a lot of Sam Raimi stuff in it.
I had
But
a lot of people complaining that it was too much of like a love letter to Evil Dead.
I wouldn't say that. You could see shades of Evil Dead in it, to be fair. And by the way, there is a new Evil Dead movie coming out this year.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Evil Dead Rise.
Which is directed by an Irishman. Yeah, Irish guy called Lee Cronin. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Evil Dead Rise was shot.
Was he the Irish director that was initially attached to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and then quit? Was he the one?
I don't know.
Because there was an Irish director that was working on that Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and him and Fede Alvarez had a creative falling out, and he walked away from the project.
There's two Irish actors in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I'm sorry, but it was a terrible film.
But this guy was a director, and he had a whole different take on it, and I guess the studio and Fede wanted to mimic what they were doing in Halloween, and he didn't want it to be that, and I guess they just kind of butted heads, and he was like, I'm done, I'm out. And I think they went through like 3 directors actually before.
I have to say though, what Fede Alvarez did with Evil Dead, the last Evil Dead, I thought it was incredible. I absolutely love the prologue to that movie, where
the fact that he did the fact that he did the tree rape scene again was like, dude, you don't realize how much trouble Sam Raimi got in for doing that scene.
Raping a tree? What?
You've never seen the original Evil Dead where the girl gets raped by the tree?
Oh, that. Yes. Okay. I was thinking, did they reinvent the piano or something?
No, Sam Raimi got brought up on charges in England and had to go stand trial for that movie.
But
that's the original?
Yeah.
But do you remember?
Crap, I didn't know that.
Do you remember the prologue where they're chasing the girl in the woods?
Yeah, no, I know about that. I know. I just wasn't. Yeah. I was picturing when you said that. I was picturing a different scenario, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
And I just love that scene where she's tied to the post, and her father is there, and she's saying, Dad, who are these people, and he's saying, honey, they're good people, and they look so odd and strange. And when she turns, that just fucking blew my mind in the cinema when I watched that. I thought, that's fucking great. I absolutely loved that film. So hats off to Fede. And then he went on to make Don't Breathe, which I thought, in fairness, was very good as well. And I haven't seen him doing anything really good after that, to be honest.
I just felt like he didn't need to do Texas Chainsaw. It's just not him. He just needed to leave that one alone. Because it's not in his wheelhouse. It really isn't. That movie takes a special kind of director to pull that off. Because it's held in you got to have thick skin, one, because it's held in such high regard by us fans, and two, we have suffered through so many shitty sequels and reboots and everything else that it's a hard sell for any Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan for them to believe that you're making a good one.
The best reboot or remake or whatever was the Jessica Biel one. That's the best one of all. Yeah, all the others are just no. That was really, really clever. There's a scene in that movie, I won't spoil it if anyone hasn't seen it, where it's towards the end where you think Jessica Biel is in one location where she's actually not, and she's in a different location. And I just thought that was very clever. And Arlie Ermery was brilliant in it, and I just thought it was excellent. It was really good. But all the other sequels were just, you know, trashy. Yeah, really trashy. So, but the original is a classic. It's great fun. So,
one of my favorite British horror movies, that wasn't Hammer, of course, but was called The Kill List. Have you ever seen that one, Brandon?
I think I have. That was made about 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was centered around cults and satanic cults and stuff.
Yeah, that was the. I have by a guy called Ben Wheatley, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
the
seen that.
independent film.
Yeah, there's a bit of a twist at the end of that where your
Yep.
man takes off his jacket and yeah, yeah.
The
I do.
the protagonist kind of. I'm not going to say anymore because I'm ruining it for everybody.
Yeah. But this production company A24, they're coming up with some really good movies.
Yeah, that Green Knight movie blew me away.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's
But
awesome.
A24 were behind X. They have a new movie coming out called Men, which has an Irish actor called Jesse Buckley. A24 did Midsummer and Hereditary, and
Midsummer.
yeah, and
was
Midsummer and
good.
Hereditary are two of the most disturbing horror films in the last God knows how many years.
Yeah,
They're the
it's
kind,
really good.
yeah, they're the kind of movies that you think twice about rewatching, because I think with movies that we like, cult classics like Night of the Living Dead and Halloween and all these, we know that
Yeah,
they're not real. They don't fuck with your mind.
right.
They're great fun. There, but I have to say, and it's totally ironic that I would say this, right? But whilst I'm a huge Halloween fan, right? I watched Halloween Kills, and I was terribly disappointed with it, right?
I was too.
Oh yeah, a lot of people were.
And I watched it when it came to the cinema in October, and then I went to see Scream in January, and I have watched Scream 3 times since, because I thought the new Scream was absolutely badass.
I need to see that still.
I really thought that it was so clever. It was just funny. It wasn't packed with gore. It was just very well executed, very well acted, the meta in it. Have you seen it, John?
Not all the way through, but you're not spoiling anything for me because it's already been spoiled for me. So
yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So
that's a terrible pity, because I have to say, and look, others may disagree with me, but up until the very end, I had no idea, and it paid great homage to the first Scream movie, and I really, really enjoyed it for that. I really did.
That's what I've always enjoyed about Scream. Yeah, they had a stumble. I think it was part 4, maybe part 3, part 4. I can't remember which one, but it wasn't terrible.
Three was probably the worst. But yeah. in terms of franchise,
but they've not made a complete turd out of. None of them have been like a complete, shit show.
Yeah.
None of them.
In terms of a horror franchise, yeah. In terms of a horror franchise, none of them, as you said, have been a complete shit show. The third one is probably the least popular out of them all. First one is a classic. The second one is very good. The third one is so-so. The fourth one is quite good, and the new one absolutely fantastic. And there's a new one coming again next year.
The only disagreement that I had with the way that they did the third one was you were explaining too much about what the motives of Billy and God, what was his name?
Stu
Yeah, what's
Schumacher.
who was the one that pushed Stu and Billy over the edge, and it was her half brother, and it's like you didn't need to explain that. It was best to just leave it as Billy just went crazy.
And I'm worried that this October we'll have to go into cinemas and watch Halloween Ends, and it could be another shit show.
Oh
I mean,
gosh.
I walked out of Halloween Kills and I was just, you know, evil dies tonight. If I heard that once, I heard it 100 fucking times in that film, and it annoyed the shit out of me. And I was saying to myself, can you not go back and do an edit where you just get rid of every time they say evil dies tonight? Because it just really pissed me off so much.
But I got to give it away to James Jude Courtney. He knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
Every time that man was on screen, that was the only saving grace for that movie. Every time James Jude Courtney or Nick Castle, whoever was playing who, they fucking knocked it out of the park. They were the saving grace of that film.
I still think Jamie Lee Curtis should have died in that last movie before Kills. She should have died and should have closed the book on the whole Laurie Strode. It should have been her and Michael in that basement burning, and that's how we should have left it. And then, to be truthfully honest, I think that's how the franchise should have ended anyway, was them two dying together. That's just my opinion.
But my favorite part of the last Halloween Kills was the retrospective scene, the prologue, where they go into the Myers house and one of the two cops go upstairs and Michael just rushes out of this cupboard.
Oh yeah.
That was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. And James Jude Courtney, or
it reminded me a lot of the scene where the Shape in 1978 comes out and gets what the heck's his name? Paul.
I know. Yeah, and nails him to the wall. Yeah.
Because that was like out of no place.
Yeah.
But
no, he saved that movie. It made $50 million in its opening weekend, and I have no doubt. And the other thing that bugs me is, the new movie is called Halloween Ends. We know it's not going to end after this movie.
Something's going to happen.
Simply because fans don't want it to end. They want to see more and more of Michael Myers. They do. Mm-hmm. And then you've got this whole legal battle with Jason Voorhees at the moment, which still hasn't been properly settled. Because the original author of the script owns the rights to the name of Jason. He owns the rights to the name of Camp Crystal Lake. He owns the rights to the name of Pamela Voorhees. And then the other company owns the rights to the hockey mask, the machete, and everything that came after.
Yeah, Tommy Jarvis and all that stuff is owned by the movie studio.
They just need to come up with like a limited partnership or something and combine all of them.
The basketball player LeBron James actually tried to offer Sean S. Cunningham a shit ton of money. Like, look, I will buy it from you.
Yeah. And you've got these scales, right, with the components in it, and they're just completely. No, my hands aren't showing because of the green screen behind me, but they're completely off balance because these two companies won't come together and agree on a franchise that, as hard as they tried to make some of these movies were awful, they were still making massive returns. And they were still coming back again and again and again, and people just wanted more and more and more, no matter how bad they were.
And see, that's what I've always had a problem with Sean S. Cunningham gave up on that franchise and walked away after the first movie, because after the first movie, he's like, I'm done. I'm going back to softcore porn, because that's where he was softcore porn. So he left, and little known fact, he actually worked with Wes Craven on The Last House on the Left. He
Well,
helped write that. Yeah,
Oh,
with Wes
right.
Wes
But
Craven started off in that dirty industry as well.
yeah. And but Sean S. Cunningham made his money off of the first movie, and he said, "I'm done. I don't want to do anymore." And he left and walked away. The studio saw it was going to print money, so they stepped in, they took it, and whatever. And then when they started making money, Cunningham comes back and is like, "Well, I didn't give you permission to do this and all this other." And it's like, dude, you walked away from it. But the problem studio had was they didn't get it in writing from him when he walked away.
Mm.
So can I ask you a question? And I suppose we probably wrap up shortly.
Yeah.
John, what do you think of fan-made movies?
I have no problem with them as long as you show respect and love to the source material. I have no problem with fan films. I've seen some fan films that were better than the original. Be truthfully honest.
Mm.
Yeah, because I mean, in my opinion, you have characters like you take Jason Voorhees, for instance, who is in this legal battle that we just discussed, right? And people are aching to see another Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th movie, whatever it's going to be called. I have no idea. And because we're not going to get that anytime soon, it's people like Michelle and other people,
Jason Pitts, different ones like that.
all around the world are coming together and making fan movies to appeal to fans of these franchises, right? We mean no harm whatsoever. We don't mean to insult anybody. We're just paying homage to characters we love and adore, and we're also getting out there and doing the kind of work that we absolutely love and adore. I mean,
Mhm.
It's
for
it's
me
called
going.
I was going to say it's
It's
called
called,
a visual love letter is what you were writing. A
yeah,
visual love letter.
but any project I've ever done, and it's hard work. Filmmaking is hard work. It's hard work on set. It's hard work in pre. It's hard work in post. Um,
It
Anything
is.
I've ever done is because I have this passion for it.
Mhm.
And I love what I do. I mean, professionally, I'm a mental health nurse, and I have been working in healthcare for 23 years. But I've been a lover of movies since I was a young child. And, you know, for me to go to California and spend um, almost 2 weeks there is going to be a working holiday for me because I'm going to enjoy absolutely every second of it. I
Same
really
here.
am. I
Yep.
really am because I'm going to be with like-minded people who love movie making, who love horror films, and who are on the exact same wavelength as me. I go into work sometimes and I try and recommend horror movies to people, and they kind of say, "Oh no, I can't watch that. I couldn't watch it." And and I really want them to see it and come back to me and say, "Oh my God, that was brilliant," and we can have this discussion because otherwise you're going to just have to end up spoiling it, and you don't want to do that. It's
Right.
like the other day I watched completely off topic. I watched Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Hey, I love that show.
Wow.
God damn it!
Oh
if
man.
if you haven't seen the new Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, right? Okay, do not Google it, right? There is a cameo. It's actually more than a cameo in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, right? Which will blow you away, right? And I said to my son, I said, you got to watch it. I said, there's a cameo in it and it's going to blow you away. And he said, who's the cameo of? And I said, I can't tell you. And he said, give me a hint. And I said, oh, okay. This character was cancelled. And he said, cancelled? And I said, yeah, cancelled. So he watched it and he came back to me and he said, I know what you mean now. So if you like it it's a bit like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but
Oh.
it's done. You know The Lonely Island,
Mm-hmm.
Andy Samberg. They've done it, and they have just done it incredibly well. So it's definitely worth a watch. Yeah. So
One of my
check
all
it.
time favorite movies that I always recommend to people, and it's old. It's 100-year-old film, and I know it's not for everybody, but watch The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Oh,
It is on
now are you
YouTube.
talking about the one
The
that
black and
has
white silent film.
Daniel O'Hurley? It's very similar. The title is very similar, but you must know, Brendan, what I'm talking about.
This movie was made in 1921. It was a
Yeah, I know that one too, and I haven't seen that one, but
There's one with Dan O'Hurley, but obviously not the 1921 version.
right.
Yeah.
There's
So
a
I've
name switch or something like the Cabinet
1921.
of or something like that.
The 1921 one, to me, it was the first slasher movie. It was a mad scientist movie, and it was a monster movie, all in one. And it was acted so, like Brandon said earlier, excuse my language, but it was acted so fucking brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
Even to this day, that movie is 121 years, or no, 101 years old. That movie is 101 years old, and I have never seen acting like that. I have never seen an atmosphere and just that abstract set design and all that stuff. And it's like, it hasn't aged. It still holds up. You clean that movie up and slap some 4K on it, you could print money with it.
Is it on YouTube, John?
Yeah, it's a bad quality version, but it's there.
Oh, I don't care. Just as long as it's audible and you can understand it, I watch it. Yeah.
But I've always that movie, to me, if you're an aspiring filmmaker, you need to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to learn how to do shots and how to tell a story without dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of aspiring and inspiration, that John Carpenter is where I got my inspiration from, and obviously yourself as well, and Deborah Hill.
Mm-hmm.
From the moment I saw the Halloween movies, I wanted to make movies. And when I was a teenager as well, I had one of those over-the-shoulder cameras, and I was out there making all kinds of shit films that I'm embarrassed about today.
It's funny because I used to make I had the Michael Myers mask, and I had somebody dress up, one of my friends at the time dress up, with the Michael Myers and pretend to come at us with a knife and stuff. And I don't know, maybe that was kind of like a little bit of an original type of like fan film, because I mean, obviously people didn't make films like that way back. And we made another one called Freddy's Sister, where the friend that I used to have, she pretended to be like possessed by Freddy and like went after everyone in high school. And yeah, it was one of those films.
No, I think I was writing scripts for Halloween sequels when I was a teenager, and
Oh yeah,
they were just awful, So then when I got the chance to make films, I was up in the woods with the camera, and we were dressed in army gear, and we were just no script, and we were ad-libbing everything.
Yep.
And of course there was no editing. You just had to shoot everything sequentially.
Right.
Nowadays we have Premiere Pro and all that, and we had no credits. So we had to just, write something down on paper and shoot that piece and all that. And it was just all for fun, but it was a learning curve, I suppose. And then back in around 2015, I got back into, I suppose my kids were becoming older, and I decided to get back into the whole filmmaking thing. So I've been doing it for the last 7 years, and I've been enjoying the hell out of it. Yeah. So long may it last. And I'm not one of these people who gives a damn about fame and fortune or any of that crack. I just love what I'm doing. And by the way, when I say crack, I don't mean crack cocaine. It's just an Irish saying. Having the crack means having fun, right?
Right.
It's an Irish
Right. Having a
saying.
crack at it, or
Yeah. No,
yeah.
but we say if we're having the crack, it means we're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all that crack, it just means all the crack that comes with filmmaking, because filmmaking should be fun. It really
Mhm.
should. Yeah. But on the same token, people need to take it seriously, because I have been on set where people have been on their phones, people haven't turned off their phones, and you're in the middle
Oh
of a take,
gosh.
and there's nothing worse than it, like, and you're running out of light, as in, you might be shooting something outdoors, and
Right.
it's an October day, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's getting duskish, and somebody is talking in the background. Like, I've had sound recorders going absolutely apeshit, telling me, "Will you please go and tell those people to shut the fuck up?" And so, anyway, I wouldn't blame them. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
mm. So we've got 7 weeks left, and I'm on a plane. The Goodwood Festival of Speed and my love of serial killers has inspired an idea for a possible project, says Kerry Yates.
Hmm.
The crack. Yeah, she
Ah.
spells crack. She spells crack right. Craic. That's how we spell it, not
Yeah,
Crack. Having the
she's from
crack.
England.
Mm.
She's right across the pond.
Yeah, Carrie Yates is actually one of our executive producers.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart too. She's always giving to everybody.
She's awesome.
Thank you, Kerry. Okay, so I will bid you adieu, and I must
Yeah,
say it has been an absolute pleasure to talk with you, and hopefully
I'd,
we'll do this again sometime soon.
yeah, I'd love
And
to have you on one time, Brandon, and talk about
yeah,
old Irish folklore and stuff. I would love to sit down and talk about.
Oh, that would be awesome.
absolutely, yeah,
I
I'll
would
have
watch that.
plenty stories to tell you about Irish folklore that may scare you, or it may just kind of fascinate you. But definitely add me on whatever social media you have, and I'll send you on some links for stuff to listen to, and I'm sure you'll be enthralled by what you have to hear. Yeah, you have Spotify, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, this guy is on Spotify, and you'll really enjoy it. Yeah. And Michelle, and I'll talk to you soon. All right?
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. Nice
All
to
right.
meet you, Kerry. Everybody, mind yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon. All right?
Okay.
All right.
All the best.
Have a
Thanks,
good one.
guys. Bye.
Well,
All right. Well,
Michelle,
thank you.
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much for having me and everybody on. And yeah, I'll share this and get the word out and all that good stuff. It looks like somebody donated something. We have 40 backers. I don't know what it was when we were showing it earlier, but I thought it was 39. It's 40 now. But, every little bit helps. So,
And I gained 2 subscribers, so thanks to
hey,
whoever
there you
subscribed
go.
to me. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I saw a lot of comments in the chat and everything. So, yeah, cool.
well, Michelle, whenever you want to come back on, you're more than welcome. I enjoy just sitting here hanging out. This has been a breath of fresh air to me. I mentally have been in a bad place. I know everybody
Oh, no.
reached out to me on Facebook. I just vented today because I have to, and it's not that I want to bitch, moan, and complain, but
Mhm.
I was always a type of person where I always just let everything just bottle up, and now I just let it out, whether it's on social media or whatever. And I don't mean to sound whiny or everything, but I have to get it out. Though the last couple of interviews that I've had to do, it wore on me, and it was nothing against the guest. It really wasn't. It just wasn't up my alley, and I didn't know how to approach it. And
Yeah.
it put me in a weird spot, and it kind of stifled me creatively a little bit because it wasn't keeping me engaged, I guess. And it's not fair to that person or those people that have been on. So for that, I do apologize. But at heart, I'm just a horror nerd, and I like talking about this stuff. That's my passion, my love, my my drive, if you will. That and music.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean you gotta do what you gotta do, and always stay true to what you have an interest in. And you know, if something needs to be said, then you needs to be said. So yeah.
Boogeyman says, great
Oh.
meeting you guys. Nice meeting you, brother. I'll have to hit
Oh,
you
great.
up
And
on,
thank you for
Facebook.
tuning in, Anthony. I appreciate that. You have a good night too.
And you do amazing work, my friend. Amazing
He
work.
does all this stuff back here.
Well, Michelle, if we want to get out of here, I'm done. If you're done.
Alrighty. Yep. Again, folks, I'll just let you know. And we have 40 backers. We're 10% funded. We have 9 days left. There's lots of stuff to choose from, and let's help make this the one of the best fan films that we can do. I know we can do it, and I'm really excited to bring this to the screen. It's been kind of a long road, and got a little more of a road to continue on here, but you know, I'm looking forward to getting this out. So, and I appreciate everyone who has helped out so far.
And if any of y'all want the link for her Indiegogo, once I'm off here, I will put that into the description for this video when it uploads to YouTube. So if you missed the live stream or just now catching it and want to go back and watch from the beginning, and you want to get something from her campaign, then the link will be there in the description to click on it.
Yep. Okay. Sounds awesome. Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, guys, me and Michelle are going to get the hell out of here, and hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. And John Evans, Michelle Blasky, and we'll see you again on Behind the Fiends, guys. Ooh.